Welcome to China Focus. I'm Shelley Zhang. Forced labor, beatings, electric shocks, torture. Those are some of the words that describe life at the Masanjia Labor Camp in Liaoning Province, according to an explosive new expose that was published in China. Now, you may have heard of Masanjia before. Last year, a woman in Oregon found a note from a prisoner in China in her box of Kmart Halloween decorations. Now, that prisoner was forced to make those decorations at Masanjia. So Masanjia is now in the headlines again after Lens magazine published a detailed account of the life of inmates there. But one thing that the magazine didn't mention were who those inmates were. And one of the reasons for that might be because a large number of inmates at Masanjia, as at other labor camps in China, are practitioners of Falun Gong, the spiritual practice that's currently persecuted in the country. Here today to talk about this, we have Levi Browdy, the executive director of the Falun Dafa Information Center, which monitors human rights conditions in China. Levi, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So what was your reaction to the Lens magazine article?
Well, I was at first a little bit surprised that such a piece would come out inside China. The content of the report was not a surprise at all. It covered parts of a larger set of abuses that we have been reporting for the last 10 years. So it really confirmed many of the abuses that we've documented. But again, the first reaction was surprise that a Chinese media inside the country was able to get this published, albeit for a very short period of time.
Now, I want to get your take on the significance of that. But first, what about Masanjia is kind of makes it so important to talk about?
Masanjia is one of the most notorious labor camps in China, and there's a lot of labor camps in China that are very harsh. What makes it notorious is a couple things. It is literally the training ground for how to persecute, how to torture, how to break down the will of an inmate so that you can get them to give up their belief and pledge allegiance to the Communist Party. They do it better than any other labor camp around the country, and in fact bring in officials from other labor camps to learn how to do this. So you're talking about a labor camp that is literally refining and teaching torture and other types of abuses. It's also a labor camp that's directly connected to the 610 office, which is a secret office that reports directly to the Politburo, the Communist Party. It's outside, it's extra legal, it's outside the government, and its main focus is to persecute Falun Gong and other groups inside the country.
So since Masanjia is so notorious, what do you think the effect of this Lens article is going to be inside and outside China?
Very difficult to say inside China because again it was published and then it was taken off, and so clearly there are voices inside China trying to get these abuses out, and I think it's very important for those in the West to step up and take that momentum and dig deeper into the story. There's much more about Masanjia than was reported in the report, although it was a good initial start. It's important that we don't let it stop there because clearly there's a lot of conflict in China about some people trying to get this report out, and we need to carry that out.
So what are some of the things that weren't mentioned in the report?
What wasn't mentioned in the report is the connection to the 610. What wasn't mentioned was that it is sort of a training ground for torture and abuses, and it is the main place where people kind of refine that practice. And just some of the more horrific abuses, throwing women into males' jail cells where they're gang raped, other types of really horrific abuses weren't covered in the magazine.
Now let me ask about a larger issue here. A lot of the kind of Western media covering the story, the fact that a magazine inside China was able to publish this kind of expose saying maybe this hints at labor camp reform. What's your take on that?
We have to be very careful with that because we have to look at what is the purpose of the labor camp reform? Is it to truly open up China and make it a more free and open place, or is it about trying to give the Communist Party there a better reputation because they get such a bad reputation from the labor camps, necessarily so? One of the patterns we've seen for the last year, from January to April of this year, we've seen twice as many Falun Gong practitioners sentenced to long-term prison as they were in the past year. So what's disturbing is they might be taking people out of labor camps and just throwing them into prison camps, and it's essentially a PR move. There's not real reform happening. So we got to be real careful when investigating labor camp and labor camp reform that we understand why it's happening and what is the actual effect for the inmates.
Thank you, Levi, for joining us to talk about that.
Thanks for having me.
Now, even though that Lens magazine article did not mention Falun Gong by name, as Levi just said, it did confirm what Falun Gong practitioners have been saying about the conditions at Masanjia Labor Camp. Now, if this has been going on for more than 10 years, why is this report only coming out now? And what does it mean for the political situation in China? Here today to talk about this, we have NTD Senior China Analyst Heng He. So Heng He, every time we see something about this article, people are saying, it's the first mainland Chinese media to cover this topic. What's the significance of that? In a way, was Lens Magazine given permission to talk about this?
If Lens Magazine didn't give the permission to talk about this, you cannot explain, the other website all published this, article for at least more than 1 day. So this is, the significance is related to the rumor about either abandon this re-education through labor system or reform.
So you're saying that because, Lens Magazine might have acted on its own, but because everybody else was also carrying their article, that's more significant.
Yes.
So you said they were carrying it for more than 1 day, then what happened?
Now they were all taken down, so you cannot find even in the Lens magazine. Actually, Lens website was down yesterday. So somebody don't want this to, to go too far away, too far, and beyond control. So they must take it down. But the impact is already there.
Were you, were you expecting it to get taken down?
Oh yes, because usually they need to do some damage control. Because the purpose is probably I cannot think for them, but at least it has two impact. One is on the re-education through labor system. Let the whole Chinese people see how evil this system is. So it will be one, results. Another result is the re-education through labor, especially Masanjia Labor Camp, is the symbol of the persecution of Falun Gong for the past 13 years. So it will make those people who are responsible for the persecution, like Jiang Zemin, Luo Gan, and Zhou Yongkang, very, very uncomfortable.
Well, let me go back to that in a second. First, I want to ask about, you mentioned this will kind of open Chinese people's eyes to what's going on in the re-education through labor system. What were some of the reactions from people in China?
Most of the reaction is about the system, but more people will think about other, like jail system, or even the 城管 like the local,
the metropolitan police. It's not police, but
enforce to clean the street or fight with the
the street vendors. And
street vendors. So people will think about everybody will think about the unfair treatment of themselves by some kind of authority. So this is another impact. But I don't think they want people to think too much about, related to the evilness of the re-education through labor to the party itself.
So they want to kind of isolate that and not make them think about what the party is doing on a larger scale.
Enough to make the point, but not too much to damage the party.
So this labor camp system, do you think that most Chinese were unaware of what goes on there?
Most Chinese actually know this system is illegal. Punish people without the legal process for 3 or 4 years in the labor camp, without trial, without any due process. So everybody now, I think, know this fact. But most people don't know what happened really to those who put in the labor camp. Like a daily torture, and even more is deprived the sleep, to the Falun Gong practitioners. Those torture are not familiar with most of the Chinese.
So let me ask about the effect of the article. Then, do you think it's going to reach the effect that you think the party or certain people might have wanted to kind of make the labor camp system look bad, make some people feel uncomfortable, but not go too far?
I think the impact is huge because most of the website posted this article got lots of response, and I think within 2 days most of them reach like 6 digital at least. So at least put together 0.5 to 1 million comments follow those posting in the article. So I think the impact is huge.
So, Liaoning officials are saying now, after this article made such a stir, that they're going to investigate Masanjia. Do you think that will actually happen?
They were saying during the investigation, but if you read the article, you will see the petitioners already report to them about the torture and mistreatment in the Masanjia labor camp many, many times.
So it's not like the officials didn't know what was happening.
They know. Not only they know, because Masanjia is very unique. It represents the persecution of Falun Gong. It's a symbol, as I said. And all the torture technique, was created in Masanjia and then promoted by Central Sector Office to other labor camps. So it's not, they don't know what happened in Masanjia or other labor camps. It's their strategy, to crack down Falun Gong practitioners' belief, use this torture method. It's designed and well promoted method. So Liaoning authority will respond to this, accusation. I mean the article, and they will do the investigation. I would say, because the system was created by the Central 16 Office or the Ministry of Justice, and it's out of Liaoning Province's jurisdiction.
So it's basically not something that they could control themselves. It's at a higher level, is what you're saying.
If there's anything come out of the investigation, that means they want to release something. It's not really investigation because they know what happened, every detail already. So it's just, so I don't like this kind of investigation because the investigation should be investigate the detail and expose every fact, without
But you're saying
hiding.
That's not what's going to happen here.
They will choose whatever they want to shoot people. That's very possible.
So let me ask about, do you think this means, you mentioned earlier that this report will make people like Jiang Zemin, who started the persecution of Falun Gong, very uncomfortable. Do you think that this is something that Xi Jinping is doing on purpose? Is there like a political background behind this?
Yes, I think this is not really try to reform the Chinese legal system or make the rule of law become, part of the rule in China. I didn't see what's going on. We'll go that direction that far. So for now, but definitely it's part of the effort to get rid of those people, interfere with Xi Jinping's rule.
So he's kind of trying to people. We're talking about Jiang or people. Who else would be kind of targeted here? Jiang
Zemin, Luo Gan, and Zhou Yongkang, for the past 13 years, they are responsible for what happened in the legal system. And, one of the legal system, part of the system is forced labor camp, even though forced labor camp is not part of the legal system. It's extra legal system.
So do you think that, Jiang is going to try to fight back in some way?
Taking down the article, I think part of the reason is, those in charge still want to keep the face of the party. And part of the reason is the resistance from the security force, or I would say the political and legal affairs committee, PLAC. Yeah, the resistance, because they have their interest in this system.
So they're still trying to protect themselves,
yes.
Basically. All right, thank you, Heng He, for joining us and talking about this today. And thanks for watching. For more on this and other issues in China, join us at ntd.tv.